Hello, everyone, and welcome to our FTC Skystone season recap. Lori here from Wolfcorp, and I'll be your host for today. We hope y'all are doing great during these difficult times, and we're very thankful for everyone who could make it today. For people who are not familiar with FIRST is an international organization for children pre-K through 12 with various competitions for its 4 categories. All presenters today participate in the FIRST Tech Challenge, also known as FTC. This year, our FTC season ended soon after the coronavirus pandemic, and we were notified that Worlds has been canceled. So we hosted our first showcase, the FTC Showcase, which can be found on YouTube by searching FTC Showcase. And while preparing for the FTC Showcase, we realized that there were many outstanding teams who did not receive the opportunity to share their knowledge and experience. Therefore, we are here today to host our second showcase, the FTC Skystone season recap. I would like to introduce our very first presenter of the day, coming from all the way around the world, the Gong Invaders.
Hello, we are the Gong Invaders and we are honoured to be presenting today in this meeting. We are from Wollongong, Australia, which is about 1 hour south of Sydney. Today, we'll be talking about our story and why there's nothing wrong with asking for help. First, we will introduce our team. We have 5 members and 2 mentors who are just a mum and a dad. We are private and not associated with any school, although we did help a team that was starting up at our school. We are based in our house and do not work in any special facility. Our FTC rookie season was Robotics, but we have participated in 2 seasons of FLL as a team and even more as separate teams. Our robot, named Donkey Kong, was our first robot using mechanism wheels. We have a 4-wheel mechanism drive which allows driving in all directions. Our arm developed over the season and we finished with a continuous lifter, although this was never used in the competition as it was our project for World Championships. Our arm during the competition was an angle lifter with cascading rail extension.
For our regional competition, we arrived on day 1 with a great robot and a confident attitude. We tested on the practice field and everything worked well. We got to our first game and the autonomous worked perfectly. When we went into teleop, however, the robot stopped moving and we couldn't do anything. After the game, we tried to test the programming at the practice field and it worked fine. When we had our next game, the same issue happened. Perfect auto, no teleop. We then started to investigate our code more deeply. We couldn't find any issues, so we asked some other teams. No one could figure out why the robot wasn't working, even after we had talked to multiple different teams. That day, in all 4 of our matches, our auto worked, but our teleop completely failed. We even won one of these games as our autonomous was high scoring, but we still felt very demoralized as our robot wasn't working the way we expected it to. During this day, we approached many teams and made new connections, but we were all disappointed in our results. That night, we rewrote our code completely, and in the morning, we were lucky enough to be given a fill-in position in a game with only 3 players, which gave us an instance to test our code in match conditions. The countdown to teleop was extremely intense, but when the timer ticked over, our robot had moved, and we had our code working. Our team, family, and the whole crowd cheered, as everyone knew our struggles from the previous day. We were filled with joy and were ready for the rest of the comp. We proceeded to win both games that day, and as we performed well and showed our resilience in strength in times of pressure, we were chosen for the finals. In the finals, we played well, and our Lions came second overall. We were very happy with this position. In the awards ceremony, we won the Connect Award, Finalist Alliance Award, and were nominated for many others. We were also invited to the national competition. Overall, we were very happy with our performance, and we are happy that we persevered through our issues and troubles with our code. After the comp, we made some modifications and were ready for the nationals, which was 2 weeks later.
After a strange experience at regionals, we were ready to come back strong and perform very well. Before we competed, we talked to another team to get help with our code, to see if it was working properly. The mentor came and gave us some tips on what to do, which was the same issue we had at regionals. We were very thankful for this, and we were glad to finally have our problem solved. After this, we continued the competition with our heads held high, and our robot performed extremely well. We won all 4 of that games that day. This placed us in first place for the whole day, since we scored high points and played against other strong teams, which increased our matchmaking rank. The second day went similarly, and we won our first game. Unfortunately, our alliance partner for the last game disconnected at the very beginning of the match, so we were forced to play the game alone. We still scored very well and lost by only 1 point, which pushed us down to 3rd place. In the Alliance selection, we chose two teams who paired very well together, but we unfortunately lost in the semifinals. In the award ceremony, we were very happy to be the recipient for the second place in Spyro Award, which gave us an invitation to compete at the World Championships. Unfortunately, we were unable to attend due to the current world pandemic. We were also awarded the Control Award and nominated for 2 other awards. What we hope people learn from this is that it's okay to ask for help. Teams may be embarrassed or afraid to ask better teams for help, but the FTC community will always be happy to help with problems. Asking for help from experienced teams will also allow the new teams to learn tips that they can use in following seasons. Thank you for listening, and we hope you learned something.
Thank you, Gong Invaders, for that very inspirational presentation. As they mentioned before, we hope that you always persevere and are unafraid to seek assistance because you never know what you might learn. Next up, we have ASAP rookie team hailing from the south.
Hello there, everyone. We are Team ASAP, and we are from South Africa. And we would just like to also say thank you to Wolf Corp Robotics for inviting us to this showcase. So basically, some of the things that were different about our team was that this was our first year doing FTC, and we didn't have a coach. And basically, another thing is we only had the kit for a month before the competition, as we were a late entry. And yeah, we didn't even have a map, so we used to go to other teams in the area that had maps, and we still won with that. So it proves to you guys, you don't need to have a lot of things to be good at a competition. So now I'm going to be explaining a little bit about our robot. So as you can see here, this is our robot. It works off a 4-wheel mechanism drive system, and we have some metal reinforcements on the side so that the wheels don't get damaged. You can see over here is our robot intake. So our robot's design was that we were going to intake brakes by sucking them up, as you can see by the Omni wheels on the right-hand side, and they were then going to be stored in the middle of our robot, where we could then spit them out onto the game field. On the left picture, you can see we used elastics, which solved our problem of gripping the brick with different sizes, as each of the bricks had slightly different sizes. So we also wanted to use an anti-mark type wheel, but in South Africa we couldn't actually order those because they're delivered to South Africa. So to get around this problem, what we did was we simply ordered our own wheels. We molded our own wheels from polyurethane. And we did this by creating a mold, as you can see in the picture on the left, and then we basically cast our own wheels. And that way we could design the wheels the way we wanted. And you can see on the right is a picture of our finished wheel. So this is what we used in the middle, which would grip the brakes, and at the same time it would be able to grip the brakes up again in different sizes. So on the left hand side you can see our grabbing mechanism, and basically the way it works is we had some window insulation that we then used to grip the brakes, and we used a method of inverse stacking. And we used inverse stacking because then we didn't have to buy linear slides to lift our brakes all the way up. But then we found that the bricks, when it got to 2 or more bricks, they became too heavy, and then this caused the bricks to start sliding down. So in our final iteration, as you can see on the right, we have some very high friction coefficient pads that we put on, and these are designed to grip the bricks very well. So these, when you put a brick on, you could even try pulling it out and it would move the whole robot instead of pulling the brick out. So for our lifting mechanism, we looked online and we saw that there were Rev linear slides. But again, they were expensive to ship to our country, so we thought, well, what are the alternatives? The alternative we came up with was using drawer slides, like in your kitchen. So as you can see on the left, we have 2 drawer slides that are connected to Rev extrusion, and we used these drawer slides to lift our robot. And as we were using inverse stacking, we didn't need to lift it more than 1 height. So all we did, as you can see on the right, we had 2 spools that were then connected via some fishing line to the bottom of our lifting mechanism, and what that did is it lifts it up so that we could stack a brick, and then we lowered it again, grabbed the bricks, and then lifted the entire stack of bricks up, and that way we could stack to a technically infinite height. However, gravity and physics and all that stops that from happening.
Okay, so for our programming for the obviously we have 2 different modes, the driver mode and the autonomous mode. So the driver mode, mainly because of time constraints, we chose a philosophy of simplicity over complexity. because we only had a month's time for everything, from designing the robot, building it, programming, troubleshooting. So our idea was to have intuitive designs and where simple button presses do simple actions like turning on and off the motor. And we use a simple driving system that you use with mechanical wheels, where you can see the flowchart on the right. It's a standard one. It's probably all of you who've used mechanical wheels use exactly the same thing. The one feature that did differentiate us from other teams was something we call precision mode, where if you press the trigger of a button, the power of the motors get reduced to only maximum 25%. This helps us to be able to move the robot around more precisely without accidentally knocking over the tower. In fact, this worked so well for us that we ended up deciding to make precision mode the default mode, and actually a button press changing the robot, unlocking the full speed of the robot to be able to drive fast. So that you were always in precision mode unless you pressed your button to drive fast or held down the trigger button. Then for the autonomous mode, again, we only worked on this for about 2 days before the actual competition, because that was the only days we had access to the map. We did, however, do a bit of theoretical programming beforehand. For example, a PID gyro drive. I'm quite sure most of you have already used it or at least heard of it before. It just makes the robot drive straight. This actually did help us a lot, because the one time when grabbing a Skystone and trying to carry it over to the other side, our robot crashed into the bridge, and it actually managed to free itself again thanks to the PID drive and still deliver the brick. We used the Vuforia API to track the pictures, to know, so that the robot knows where exactly it is. This is just a simple camera, and this is again something we could program without having access to the map, as you just have to print the pictures and then again do some bunch of theoretical programming. Then color sensor to detect the Skystones. That's also very simple. And basically our autonomous program, we had different versions depending on what our alliance partner was capable of doing. Thank you very much. That's our presentation.
Thank you, ASAP, for that very educational presentation. We hope you guys took something away from their robot design and innovative programming. Next up, we will be having the Crazy Cat Ladies, a team who really made the best of their time during quarantine, present.
Hello everyone, we're Team 12827, the Crazy Cat Ladies, a community team of 6 girls from Jacksonville, Florida, and we're thrilled to be here today.
We really enjoyed the Skystone season and have some awesome memories. Going into the season, we had an ambitious goal to be in the winning alliance at our league tournament and to make it to the elimination matches at the state championships. At our league tournament, we were the second pick for the winning alliance. One of our most memorable matches of the season was our first match of finals. We achieved a score of 101, which was the highest score in our league. We were so proud of our teamwork with our alliance partners. We were also chosen to play at the division semifinals at the Florida State Championships, and we're very excited to partner up with one of those same teams. Both of these accomplishments were first for our team, and we were very happy to achieve them. Along with the impressive accomplishments, we've also had a lot of fun. We have shared many laughs over the fact that our robot, Becky, was very skilled at stopping an inch from the line in autonomous.
For our outreach each year, we make a unique robotic creation to inspire people in our community to get involved with STEM and FIRST. We made a cat that played tic-tac-toe, and last year we made a foosball table where one team was made up of toy cats that moved automatically by a game controller. We explain how we make these inventions, and it's a joy to see the awe in kids when they realize that they too can create their own magic with technology. Our team led FLL boot camps for both corporate interns and the children of employees at our local GE facility. We also went to our state's capital to promote funding for FIRST programs in the Florida FIRST Advocacy Conference.
Following our last state championships, we realized that there are not only some outstanding Florida FTC teams, but also that we would love to know how they've achieved their successes. Due to our social distancing reality and the fact that most people now had an empty Saturday afternoon, we created the Safe Spring Saturday Seminar Series. We reached out to these winning teams and asked them to share what they do to be state champions and in some cases world champions. These teams really exemplified cooperation as they helped us create a video series showcasing their success stories. Their knowledge has been greatly helpful to us as a team, and we hope they can be for you too. We contributed to the video series by explaining our own Java libraries. You can find them on our YouTube channel.
This year's Game Changers theme inspired us to create a game, V-Movin', as a fun way to exercise and dance and to stay active and healthy despite the COVID pandemic. The game is based on TensorFlow PostNet technology from Google that tracks your movements using the camera on your laptop or phone. The game calculates a score based on how well you are able to follow along with the dance, adding a fun competitive aspect. We also include a video that explains FIRST to bring awareness to students and volunteers. Please help us by spreading the word about vmovin.com so that we can promote fun physical activity and help more people learn about FIRST.
Trying to score as many points as we can in Autonomous is always one of our team strategies, and so we put a lot of effort into our control systems. One of our team's proudest moments was putting 3 stones on the foundation in Autonomous, moving the foundation and parking. After using the Roadrunner Motion Planning Library from Team Acme Robotics last year, we were inspired to share some of the knowledge and capabilities we've gained over our time with others as well. So we have developed a series of our own Java libraries named after our favorite felines. Schrodinger helps to create state machines, Nyan helps to create subsystems, and Navicat helps to make using Roadrunner easy. We invite you to check them out on GitHub for yourselves and see if they can help you take your control system to the next level. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Thank you, Crazy Cat ladies, for that wonderful presentation. Next, we now have the robocorns presenting.
Hi everyone, we're Team Robocorns from Exton, Pennsylvania. Our team number is 14423. Our team has been together for 4 years, working from FLL to FTC. We worked together in FLL for 2 years, reaching the World's Festival both seasons. When we transitioned to FTC, we were able to make it to the state championship every season. The summer that we transitioned from FLL to FTC, the robotics organization that we're a part of, Downtown Area Robotics, moved into the Exton Square Mall. Currently, we work in a space there, receiving guidance from fellow FTC Team 7314 and FRC Team 1640. Now we can get into some details of our FTC season accomplishments. In our rookie year during the 2018-19 season, Rover Ruckus, we were able to be the winning alliance captain in our first competition. That way, we were able to make it to the PA State Championships. We also got accustomed to FTC, like learning how to manage the engineer notebook and how the robot works. In our rookie year off-season, we took advice from a team named Out of the Box. To improve on outreach, we planned and prototyped a ball-shooting robot. We also recruited 2 new teammates. After recruiting them, we participated in the FLL single-day design competition, and we won 2nd place in the robot competition and 1st in design process. In total, we won $500. Lastly, we started an FLL home-based team website, which helps a lot of teams in quarantine, and made videos to post on the website.
We made a lot of team structure improvements coming from our rookie year off season to our 2nd year. Some of the team structure improvements that we made is that we gave equal focus to our robot, E&B, and outreach. We also developed better meeting structures, such as the beginning of meeting, and we built a reputation for ourselves. More people now know who the robocorns are. We won 1st place in the scrimmage, finalist alliance captain 2 times, and were 4th alliance captain's first pick in the state championships. We had a very successful robot that could intake and stack blocks efficiently, and we switched to Mecanum drivetrain. Our robot is built modularly. We can easily take apart the parts of our robot to fix them without affecting the rest of the robot. Our intake works as a regular intake. It has 2 motors and 2 compliant wheels, but it also works as a touch and take system. It can grab any block from any angle. Our gripper is made of a license plate with foam strips. It grabs the side of the stone for maximum surface area. Our lift and extender arms are both arms that are made of cascading extra lifts. There is a pulley that pulls and pushes the arms. This results in the arm being able to efficiently lift at a very fast speed. We also have LED lights on the back of the robot, which are used to indicate which block level we are at on our stack, and they also look cool aesthetically. Our macros are program buttons, which make it easier for the operator and driver to stack 8 blocks in one game. One button press has a series of things to do. We also have preset levels, where stack 1 is at a predetermined height and so on. Our tape extenders can be used by our driver, who can just press a button and the tape measure extends into the depot without even moving.
We also focused very successfully on outreach this season. For one, we went to Santa to show off our robot features and explained what we do to a crowd that gathered around us at the mall. We also established a friendly partnership with a robotics company called Winexia, whom we contacted, and they came to help us out with our lift structure. We also help with FLL teams every Friday at our own mall space. We also help out at the FLL competitions and scrimmages as well. As far as awards go, we won Motivate and Design Award, winning Motivate twice in a row. We also got nominated for the Think and Inspire Award twice. We also were nominated for Control Award.
During the off-season of our second year, we continued to meet every Friday on Zoom, even during quarantine. Every once in a while, we would even play games as a team. Occasionally, we met to work on other days on things such as the Maryland Tech Invitational, or MTI. Speaking of MTI, we applied for the virtual competition and worked hard on our judging script and flyer. We also received insight and feedback from the judges who pointed out improvements we could make in the future. We ended up getting 6th place in MTI. When it came to outreach, we created an Instagram account to add onto our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube account. We also 3D printed 500 mask frames and sizers with help from Out of the Box. To brainstorm for the next season, we filled out a whiteboard with our next steps for the 2020-2021 season, and we brainstormed ideas on the new game, Ultimate Gold. In the meanwhile, we're also learning Java as a team, so the transition from blocks to a new language would be easier the next season. Finally, we received field parts and several bins of robot infrastructure from a disbanding team, 14354. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, robocorns, for the wonderful presentation. We hope you learned something from the unique robot design and their creative driver assist functions.
My name is Kevin, and before we move on to the next presentation by Capital Bots, we will take a short 5-minute break. As you can see, we've prepared a discussion question that we hope will stimulate conversation between teams. Feel free to share your thoughts regarding the subject. Everyone is now available to unmute themselves. The first discussion topic is, how do you guys feel about the way FIRST has changed the competition this year in response to COVID?
I think it's pretty interesting how the setup will be this year, because it's going to be very interesting to see how they create a game that can be played individually, but and also have some sort of strategy involved in it as well. So like a game kind of like Rover Ruckus could work, but I think it's going to be really interesting to create a game that can be played by itself on a half field, that can also have some sort of strategy element when there's 2 teams on the field, or 4.
Right. The strategy between 1 teams versus 2 teams is obviously going to be very different from what we've seen in the history of FTC.
You're definitely going to see a low defense game where it's definitely going to be favorable to like mechanism drivetrains this year. I mean, more than any normal year, because you're not going to have to worry about bumping into other teams or competing for space on the field. So you're going to see teams that are prioritizing moving fast and moving around very nimbly, so they can go from one place to the other very fast. So one thing I'm also worried about with this style of season is accountability for teams, because there doesn't seem to be any requirement to produce evidence of your match score. So I'm hoping that more regions are going to adopt what I believe the Orange Alliance is promoting right now, which is using its platform to ensure accountability by people posting their match videos to be verified.
All right, yes, accountability is definitely going to be an issue this year. Hopefully all teams are going to be honest about their results.
We think it's good that they're implementing these practices that allow people to social distance, just so more teams and students can get involved into FIRST.
Right. With the way the internet is now being used by FIRST, it's going to allow more people to be able to interact with other teams and get more involved. So that's a good way for FIRST to promote themselves. In response to COVID, First has done the best that they've can and that they could have done, and it's unfortunate that everything is working out the way it is, but it's also not very preventable. But hopefully, hopefully the season moves on as normal and it's not going to be as hectic as, or it's not going to turn out even more hectic than it already is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, that was a pretty nice discussion with several interesting ideas. Unfortunately, the time is coming to an end. Allow us to now welcome our next group of presenters to the stage, Capital Bots.
We are Team Capital Bots 14575, and yeah, today we're going to be sharing our journey through the Skystone season with you. So a little bit about our team. So Team Capital Bots was originated in McLean, Virginia. We have students from 8th grade to 12th grade, and our team participated in the Robotics and Skystone seasons through FTC, and a few of our team members have also participated in some FLL challenges. And a summary of our mission is just, we work to spread First and FTC within our community and globally to help spread STEM through the youth community.
So this is the second year for most Capital Bots, and 25% of our roster is kind of new to FTC and robotics in general, including myself. So we won 2 awards during competition, Think and Control Award. And this season was really a growth season for our team, working on a lot of the issues and problems we had as a rookie team. So this is kind of our transition period from rookie to starting to become more of a veteran team. So we started off really shaky. We were missing a lot of deadlines. Time management was a big issue, and integration between different team members and getting tasks done was a really big problem. So at the first competition, we didn't do very well. The robot was kind of incomplete. But after that, we really pulled together within 2 weeks during winter break between our first and second competition. We programmed and built an entirely new robot from scratch. We didn't use anything from our first robot and our second robot. So we basically restarted our season. And we basically, we really pulled together. And during our second competition, we were able to stack blocks, maneuver efficiently around the field, and score multiple points. And then the third competition, we were able to do everything that the challenge needed. So we were able to stack, we were able to pull the platform and intake blocks and much more. So despite seeing more success, we still needed to work on our autonomous programming and a lot of our robot durability. And in our preseason, as of right now, we are actually working on that, getting better at those things already in the preseason. So here's our robot journey. So from September to December in our first robot, here's a picture. It was really incomplete. We were mixing Actobotics and Go Build parts, and really just, holes weren't lining up. We really just didn't have anything finished. And then you can see our version 2 of our robot's much more finished. We stuck to only Go Build the parts for the most part. And you can see it's a much more finished robot. We had a improved claw mechanism that was a lot smaller, much more efficient, only used 1 servo. We used a long robotics lift mechanism, allowing us to stack up to 12 blocks. We also had a dual arm platform pullers, as well as 2 autonomous arms used to pick up and transfer blocks. We also used the common intake wheel mechanism that basically pulled in the block onto a platform before being grabbed by our claw. Here are some pictures of the robot where you can see a lot of the functions of our robot. One thing we utilized in our second robot was a front intake and a back delivery system. So our claw was able to basically flip to the front, to the back of the robot, and this allowed us to be a lot faster while stacking blocks.
So these are a summary of the outreach events that we conducted last year. So we had one of our team members' siblings went to Haycock Elementary School, so they had a STEM night similar to a science fair that we went up to, and we basically, we use our 3D printer a lot for our team with printing a lot of CAD designed parts. So we actually set that up at the booth, and we showed it. It was already like a demo of some toy being built in the 3D printer, and we were explaining the process. And then obviously we explained a little bit about our team and our journey through FTC with the trifold, and we raised some awareness to other people who were interested in joining first. And then another one of the outreach events we held last year was an introduction to FTC event. So most people didn't really know about FTC in this event, and something that we do commonly throughout our events over the years is we like to bring our robot and let kids control it on the ground, and so they can see kind of how the mechanism wheels moves. And especially for kids who already do FLL, they are pretty intrigued by this since it's quite different from the robots they build. And of course, we also demoed some of our 3D printed items and talked about our CAD process. And then the awards that we won last year. So we were nominated for the Think Award, and then we won the Control Award at one of our qualifiers. And thank you for listening to the presentation. We are glad you were able to make it to this showcase, and we are hosting a virtual CAD and 3D printing class soon. So if you would like more information, please visit our website. And we also would love if you guys would email us. We would love to collaborate with your team at any time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Capital Bots, for the motivational presentation detailing your efforts to promote FIRST and introduce students to STEM education. Next up, we will be having Jolly Roger Robotics showcase their achievements of the season.
Hello everyone, my name is Garrett Smith. I am a lead mentor for the FTC Team 14166 Jolly Roger Robotics, and I'm here to showcase what we are proud of this season by creating outreach projects for the community and collaborating. Just a quick bio about our team. We are a FTC team from Lubbock, Texas, stationed at Lubbock Cooper Lower Bush Middle School. And this will mark our 3rd season during the team's lifetime, which is pretty awesome. So what are we proud of? Well, what we're proud of this season is we set a goal for ourselves to come up with ways to help strengthen and build a community within our FTC league, and in turn, helping teams in our area improve or succeed, and in turn, for us to improve and succeed right along with them. Thanks to the gracious support and participation from other FTC teams in our league, we were able to get our feet wet this season and work on collaboration projects to help set that goal into motion. So our first project or outreach idea is not all teams in our area always have access to a field or a space to set one up, and that could be a struggle when teams need to test their robot or need driver practice. So we invited other teams in our area to our lab so they could borrow our field and could be able to test a robot and get their driver practice that they needed. And in turn, all of us teams were able to learn from each other and help each other out, which was a big step in the right direction. Another example, we piloted FTC quote-unquote classes this season where we would allow teams to come to our school and we would host different lessons that could benefit them in FTC, both technical and soft, such as programming, electrical, mechanical, social media, notebook, all that good stuff. And this helped provide a resource for FTC teams, especially new FTC teams, to go to, and it allowed us FTC teams to learn together and get help from individuals that have experience in engineering and or FTC. Another big project that we did was we formed an alliance with our local FTC teams to participate in the Robots to the Rescue virtual competition that FIRST hosted, and it allowed us to teach CAD and robot design skills to students and teachers, especially teachers and students who are new to it, and it allowed us to collaborate and share ideas with each other. We got very, very positive feedback for this project, and we hope to do more like it, especially with other types of skills such as programming and electrical. So by far our biggest project that we worked on throughout the entire season was our own off-season event. This was going to be a custom FTC game with its own theme that provided its own challenges and gameplay to our local FTC teams, and we were going to invite FTC teams from our league and maybe even our region to the competition. And we had all sorts of FTC teams provide ideas and that were going to participate and even volunteer. We were also going to provide friendly small scrimmages throughout the summer to give teams practice for the next season and to collaborate and learn from each other at the competition, or scrimmages, I should say. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to cancel these things, but we hope to try to do this again in future seasons, and we learned a lot doing it. So overall, we are very proud of what we accomplished this season in terms of community building and coming up with new ways to help each other and learn from each other. And we hope to this season to keep on that goal of innovating ideas, working with our fellow FTC teams in our community, and we hope to keep on improving and sharing ideas in that regard. That is what I wanted to showcase for our team this season. Thanks for listening, and I wish everyone a great season. Thanks.
Thank you, Jolly Roger Robotics, for a lovely presentation. And hopefully you're all able to take away something on outreach projects in collaboration with the community. And now presenting is Cobalt Cult, a past Worlds Festival Inspire Award nominee.
Hello, we are the Cobalt Cult, Team 6547, an FTC team from Overland Park, Kansas. We are made up of 13 high school students, most of whom are incoming seniors. Today, we would like to share a bit about our team and our performance during Skystone, as well as give some insight into how we see our community outreach in our area and how you can do the same. Enjoy. During the Rover Ruckus season, we were recognized as a finalist team for the Inspire Award at the Houston World Championship, as well as it being the second pick of the winning alliance. During the Skystone season, we received the following awards at our state championship, including second place Inspire, first place Design and Compass, and third place for Promote. Now on to the summary of our robot.
Hi. Okay, so this is our robot for the Skystone season. This robot has a 14-in-1 drivetrain using mechanism wheels, which allowed us to move very quickly through the field. A major part of the robot is a huge gap in the middle. This helped us easily send stones to the back of the robot for quick stacking with our pass-through intake. The intake starts off inside the robot, then springs out when the program starts. It was built straight through the middle of the robot for a smoother transition from intake to stacking.
From there, our scissor takes off. It uses multiple springs to rapidly bring it up and uses strain to bring it back down to a desired height. Now, that's not the only thing. Once the scissor lift is at a desired height, the grabber, which consists of a rack pinion system, will extend out and place the stone onto the build plate. This allows us to rapidly score points and build a tower up to 10 blocks. We've had many iterations of this bot, especially scissor lift. We started out with just a standard hollow channel, and by stage we ended up with industry manufactured scissor sections. Now on to how to pick your unique alliance partner.
Yeah, so what we like to do is consider what most teams are going to do and then strategize in a way that complements the most popular designs. So in other words, we don't want to find our ideal alliance partner. We want to be that ideal alliance partner, so we have that to fall back on. And we like to establish an effective and organized scouting system for our competitions. And for us, we like to use a Google Slides with a form that goes straight into Excel so that we can ask questions that pertain to our strategy so that we can both know what teams would work well with us, as well as other teams know what to look for when they're looking for an alliance partner from us.
Now switching to our community outreach efforts from Skystone, here are a few of our large projects that helped us spread FIRST and STEM to our community. Firstly, we partnered with a local nonprofit called Walkin' and Rollin' to design a wheelchair Halloween costume for a local girl named Macy who has Rett syndrome. We also started a 501c3 nonprofit titled Kansas STEM United with the goal of seeing STEM and FIRST to the state of Kansas through funding. And we also partnered with GoBuilda to design a simple drivetrain along with an instruction manual that new rookie teams can reference to build a simple starter drivetrain. And then also during COVID, during the quarantine time, we also have fabricated over 1,000 face shields and have distributed those to our local community and abroad. And we've also filmed some public service announcements relating to COVID and how to protect yourself and to properly socially distance. And those are available on the Kansas STEM United YouTube channel. And now on to Usman to discuss how we go about seeking outreach opportunities.
Thank you. Finding opportunities to aid your community through STEM can be an intimidating process at first. We suggest that you first analyze any unique strengths or interests your team members have and consider how you can leverage those. Next, we recommend determining the scale of the project you want to undertake. How much time will it take? How many people will you connect with? Do you need to fundraise it? All of these types of questions are good to ask early in the process. Our final piece of advice to you is if you're struggling to find opportunities, you can search established organizations or nonprofits in your area that you can connect with. Examples of these organizations for our team have been Walking and Rolling, United Healthcare, and Go Builda.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Here, if you wish to contact us, here's our contact information and social media.
All right, thank you, Cobalt Cult, for a very informational presentation. We hope that everyone was able to pick up a few things from their innovative robot design, aligned selection system, and how they seek out unique outreach opportunities. Up next is Cosmic Voltage.
Hi everyone, our team Cosmic Voltage, 16654. We're the first independent and community team from the northern state of Chihuahua in Mexico. In Mexico, robotics is a luxury almost no one has. So this team is made for Chihuahua from Chihuahua, meaning that we seek to promote robotics in Mexico starting with our own state.
We like to say we are from Chihuahua and for Chihuahua because this team is completely funded by sponsors. Our objective is to make robotics accessible to each kid in our community. We've managed to rally 25 companies which range from local businesses to international enterprises, such as Chemis Lacoste, John Deere, Grupo La Norteñita, which is the biggest apple company in Mexico. They export apples to more than 150 countries. La Unión Ganadera de Chihuahua, which is a group of entrepreneurs that regulate all cattle businesses in our state, as well as politicians like Senator Cruz Pérez Cuellar. And why do they support us? They do it because of our 3 Bs, the 3 bases our team is built upon. We strive to bring the first values to the people in our community by doing altruistic activities and inviting more people to participate, such as partnering with the Migrant House to help migrants in their journey, bring robotics to female students, and bring robotics to the more vulnerable people by including anyone who likes robotics in the team, no matter their economic situation.
Last year, we met an incredible gentleman that was part of a car crash. This crash caused him to go into a coma for 6 months, and then he finally woke up in Houston, Texas. As of now, he is diagnosed with spasticity, a medical condition that does not allow him to move his joints properly. For this reason, we are building a mechanism to help him recover hand movement and help him grab things again. Also, our season started at Gilbert, Arizona, where we won the Inspire Award on our first competition. Then we participated in Toluca, Mexico, where we were captains of Winning Alliance and also got a Connect Award. Then we participated in Mexico's championship, where we were finalists and also Connect Award. And then we participated in Arizona's championship in Flagstaff. We were semi-finalists and also got a Connect Award. Be sure to follow our social media to see our social activities and meet our team for this season by watching our season lineup on Instagram TV.
All right, thank you, Cosmic Voltage, for the very invigorating presentation. Everyone should have learned something about the admirable team goal and efforts to assist the others and bring them into FIRST and STEM. Next up, we have Hermit Social Club presenting their season accomplishments.
Hello, teams. We are the Hermit Social Club, FTC Team 12675, and we are a 7th-year FIRST team and a 3rd-year FTC team. And today we'd like to bring to you some of our season highlights and lowlights. So first, we'd like to talk about our build highlights. This year, we explored the usage of wood as a means to create a modular, sturdy chassis. While channel systems sold by various robotic suppliers are great for initial prototyping and temporary projects, we found that they consumed much more space and are much weaker due to the numerous holes drilled in them. Wood also has the advantage of preventing static discharge on the field, which drastically affected our performance in tournaments in the last 2 years. It safeguarded our robot this year from disconnecting on the field. But in order to switch to a full wood chassis, our team had to learn and make use of heavy woodworking machinery and CAD systems. So because a custom wood chassis is not that modifiable, we had to turn to CAD. And before we even made the robot, we had to CAD the entire robot and the entire chassis. This was because you cannot make a modification to a wood chassis without a huge investment of time. We also ran into the problem of precisely drilling holes. As you can see in the picture, our motors are screwed directly into the wood sidewalls. So any small offset in the motor mounting will cause jitters in the robot when it drives and problems in autonomous and teleop. So we created templates from our CAD, paper templates, as shown in the bottom left, which allowed us to precisely place holes on the robot. Finally is our modular robot design. Because wood robots are very time consuming to modify or repair, we made our entire robot modular, meaning that it can be taken apart very quickly and parts can be replaced very quickly. We did this by using rabbet and tongue joints in the top left corner as shown, and each part of the robot can be slid out at a moment's notice with the removal of 1 or 2 screws. Mid-season, when the entire sidewall of our robot cracked, we were able to replace the entire sidewall in under an hour, including the time required to cut the new piece of wood. The sliding layers allow us to keep the entire robot compact while maintaining an ease of maintenance. This year, we also introduced many new members because the sustainability of our team is very important to us. A lot of our team members will be gone from the team in 2 years, and this is why we reached out to new members this year. In the 2019 to 2020 season, we integrated 3 new members from FLL Team 1641, Epic Space Nerds, and 1 new member from a local high school. While their experience in FLL certainly aided them in a smooth integration into FTC, we focused this year on making them able to solve complex problems with simple solutions.
Now I'd like to move on to our programming highlights for this season, starting off with our use of multi-threading. While trying to work with more computationally intensive and complex motions, we ran into problems with managing the proper timing of everything that was going on. Our previous approach of running everything on a single thread caused issues with a cumbersome initialization period, where large processes such as Jukebox and Vuforia started one after another. We also had issues with properly timing out the movement of our linear slides and the motion of our robot to try and fit our autonomous into the 30-second time frame. By transitioning into a multi-threaded system, we solved these issues by running all of these processes in tandem, giving us more options for fitting our autonomous in a shorter time frame. We also made use of key point vision adjustments. During the season, we had significant issues with the reliable use of Vuforia to track the location of our robot. The camera is often too far away from the vision targets to give a clear and actionable image, and the robot's movement made it difficult to do accurate tracking. We found that we could make best use of vision as a supplement to encoder dead reckoning instead of as a replacement. By only tracking at certain key points on the field, we allow the robot to correct itself before more precise movements, such as picking up and placing blocks, reducing accumulated inaccuracies from drift inherent in our mechanism drivetrain. We also made the Jukebox music system. As part of the FTC SDK, FIRST provides a way to play short clips of music. However, because the SDK transfers the music between the robot controller and the driver station over the network, it's impossible to play clips over about 5 seconds. To add extra auditory aesthetic to our robot, we created Jukebox, which allows us to play a variety of longer music clips from the robot controller. You can find Jukebox on the Hermit Social Club's GitHub.
One of our outreach highlights is our library program. We partnered with the LA County Library System to bring FLO to students in our area through workshops in library community centers that gave parents and educators information on how to start an FLO team and introduced kids to the basics of building and programming in FLO. We are also in talks with the library to start FLO teams in each of their locations, though these talks have been stalled by the current pandemic. One of our biggest highlights was when we became an Alliance captain at ILT. Our Alliance placed second. This marked our best season yet, and we were even more proud in the finals when our Alliance placed 2 6-block stacks and capstones on the foundation. Meet Zero was the lowest point of our season. We experimented with a wooden chassis and an intake, but halfway through the match, the chassis fell apart. This was due to a poor manufacturing process, which we remedied for our next chassis.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Real quick before we end the presentation, I'd like to say that Hermit Social Club is starting a tutoring service and a game night. If you're interested, please go to hermitsocialclub.org and it'll be in the outreach section. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Hermit Social Club, for your inspiring presentation. Hopefully teams can learn how to think outside the box and create ingenious designs just like yours.
All right, as we move into the second break of this showcase, we have another discussion topic for everyone to chew on. Are there any changes that you guys want to see in terms of the structure of competition in FIRST?
Well, down in Australia, there's not really much like competition opportunities. So we'd be like really excited to see more actual competitions and like ways to actually play the game more because, well, this season was like cut short. So if there's any way that we could just like play games, that would be really cool. But yeah.
Okay.
And we don't get many scrimmages down here either, or any at all. So having more of those would be like really cool. But
Yeah, I think
it's the same thing here. In South Africa, we don't really have like scrimmages by FTC. So what we did was like a group of 4 or 5 teams. We basically just WhatsApped each other, and then we organized little scrimmages. But I feel like the FTC support is not really that great in other countries. But yeah, I think maybe more scrimmages and just more competition in the different countries would be way better.
Yeah, like we also didn't have regional competitions. It's just one national competition for the entire country. They were planned scrimmages by FIRST, but they were only in one city, in the capital city. So it's not like you can quickly go over and do it.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, I do applaud your guys' perseverance for trying to keep working and keep improving.
I think with one thing with everyone going virtual now is the distance between in virtual competitions, the distance between like someone like robotics teams in like California compared to us to you guys in Australia or South Africa, it's basically the same thing now. So I think coordinating you guys also with the thing with going virtual, a lot of teams now have the possibility or may have the possibility of competing in a bunch of different other competitions, not just in your area as well. So I think that's a good upside actually.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual game itself, I felt like last year there wasn't really much interaction between the teams. I know you have like Red Alliance and Blue Alliance, but it kind of felt like 2 separate fields almost because no one really, and there isn't really much interaction in terms of between the alliances. And I'd like to see a little bit more of something like that, maybe like in FRC. They have a little more of a defense-offense oriented game, not exactly like head-on, but I think that bring in a little more strategy into the game.
I think the thing with FRC is we end up with a lot of broken robots. So yeah, like honestly,
maybe not to that extent, but like some sort of collaborative interaction between at least Red Alliance and Blue Alliance.
I feel like they tried to do that more in Skystone, but yeah, it's not to the level of FRC for sure.
That would be scary for most people going into FTC if there is that kind of level of contact. On a slightly related note, I wanted to ask what people's favorite season was. For me, I think Relic Recovery was, maybe it's just me, and it's just my nostalgia, but I think Relic Recovery was most interactive that I've played.
I second that. I think Relic Recovery was one of my favorites.
I actually really enjoyed Skystone this year because, it did make the autonomous a little bit difficult for us programmers with the limited space with all the stuff on the field. I did feel like you got some good, at least intra-alliance interaction with fetchers and stackers this year. And having that extra depth of strategy makes alliance selection a lot more interesting and just pairings a lot more dynamic.
Our time is running short and our break is about to end. Allow me to introduce our next presenters, La Cañada Engineering.
Hey guys, we're 5921 La Cañada Engineering Club. Could we get the next slide, please? All right, so you guys will notice, unlike most FTC, or we're not like most other FTC teams, we're quirky. So we were founded in 2008 as an FRC team, and then we've since expanded. So now we have 4 FLL teams. We have FTC 5921, our original FRC team 2429. We also have a solar car team, and we do mate underwater robotics. So for FRC, we've been to Worlds 5 times, or we've qualified 5 times. This year we didn't get to go to Worlds, obviously. We're really proud of having our FLL program for over a decade now. So we host tournaments and have our teams. And every year our FTC team starts over again. Basically, the only person that's ever done FTC team is the captain, or FTC before is the captain. So like I was the only one with experience last year, and then now Warren will be the only one with experience.
Our robot is called the Hulk, and we decided to name our overall season just Project Avengers Assemble. So all of our parts are entirely machined in-house, so we don't use any kit pieces. Obviously, we still buy stuff like the motors or screws and bolts, but most of the pieces on our robot are 3D printed, and you can see them in orange, or we cut them ourselves. So we're running a wheel intake with a linear slide that allows us to move our arm over the horizontal axis. And we have a motor attached to the back with acting similar to a joint in order to allow our claw to move vertically. So the way it works is the wheels pick up the blocks like a normal intake, and then we use 2 servos to grab the block and extend using the linear slide. We have 4 autonomous programs, one for red, one for both sides of red and both sides for blue, and we're able to score up to 25 points in autonomous.
This season, one major thing that was really important to us was our business aspect. And during this season, we were able to get 2 new sponsors. So one of our first sponsors we were able to get was Ucode. And this is a local coding academy store in our community. And they are really STEM oriented. And they teach coding to young children in elementary school to middle school. And one of our members who's in FRC volunteers there and helps out, helping us keep a close relationship between our team and their business. And another sponsor we got was YMI Rack Mount Pro, and they funded us a lot of money, helping us fund our parts for our robot and for our team. And one major thing we focused on this season was our community and giving back. So within FIRST, we hosted 7 FLO tournaments this season, and 2 of them being regionals for our LA region. And this regionals qualified the teams for Worlds. And we focus a lot on FLO because it is the stepping stone towards our major teams like FRC and FTC. And we also have 3 FLO teams within our Blockhead community. Also, due to COVID this season, over the summer, we hosted an online CAD and Python class because those 2 things are essential for FRC, and because they use Python to code the autonomous and we used CAD to design a robot and design parts. And also another important thing was the Girl Scout Badge Day. And this was led by 2 girls within our FRC team. And they were teaching young brownie Girl Scouts how to get the robot badge. And this just helps us get close and get young kids into the community of STEM and robotics. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, La Cañada Engineering, for your presentation. We hope that everybody learned about their original robot design and how they gave back to the community through their online classes. Next up is Rock and Roll Robotics, here to share their team accomplishments and experiences.
Hi, we are Team 25 Rock and Roll Robots, and this is our Skystone recap.
So we're going to cover a few things about us, like our accomplishments and experience during the Skystone season.
So a little bit about us. We are a student-led all-Girl Scout community-based team from the greater Los Angeles area. We were founded by Julie Townsend in 2007 and currently have 10 mentors who are all professionals in STEM.
So our 3 main core values that we incorporate into what we do together as a robotics team during the season and off the season include effort, family, and integrity.
So for those who don't know, the Bryson Cup is awarded to the winner of the league meets in the Lucky Baldwin League. We happen to place second for the cup, but we're only half a win behind the first place team.
So for the first league meet, we had 3 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss, which made us place second. And for both the second league meet and the third league meet, we had 4 wins and 1 loss, which put us in 3rd place for both. And at ILT, we were 3rd place overall and the third alliance team captain, and scored a team record of 46 points.
So some challenges with our software included EMI or electromagnetic interference issues in our autonomous programs. Often during practices, the robot had malfunctions or stopped at random moments halfway through its path. After a couple of run-throughs, we were able to determine that it was a wiring issue, so we added grounding wires.
So some challenges we had with our build were mostly with the linear slides and the wheel intake. So because the slides took up so much space, there was no room on our robot for the wheel intake to work in tandem with the slides. With testing, we figured out a way to reduce the size of the slides and implement the wheel intake.
So something really crucial to our team was how to handle time management since all of our members attended different schools. We had good time management by planning when and how we will meet so we could effectively work together on our robot.
Beans and Bombs is a joint overnight camp in which we introduced the rookies to the overall gist of FTC, and it included a 1-day robot competition with awards.
So our team valued the idea of bonding because it helped us to get to know each other and find ways to work together efficiently. On the left, some examples we had on the left are a pancake breakfast at one of our meetings, and we talked about judging and prepared for ILT. In the middle, there are 2 members from our software working on a robot, and we also made a pathway for our drive team to drive through just to have fun. To the right, we went to the conference room and attempted to draw pictures of each other.
In the aspect of gracious professionalism and helping others, during the season we helped one of our alliance partners, Robo Falcons, by lending them a battery so they could use it as a deadweight on the robot. During our lines with them, we scored 55 points and won the match. And because it was their first league meet, we helped them feel welcomed.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Rock and Roll Robotics, for a marvelous presentation. Hopefully you're all able to gather something on the importance of fulfilling team values and good time management skills. Coming up, we will be having Aztec.exe's presentation.
Hello, this is Nicole, the founder and current captain of FTC Team 15091 Aztec EXE, a 2-year-old FTC team from Monterey Park. Our team is based off and funded by the Monterey Park Burgermeyer Library, and we currently have 11 active members and 2 coaches. As a team, we try to focus on 3 goals: learning, communication, and outreach. Because most of our team will be high school seniors this coming school year, we focused a lot on outreach in order to sustain the team for the future. As a captain, I think the biggest achievement for our team was when other teams began to invite us to their events and truly recognize us. I felt that this was the most important achievement because we all felt like we were officially no longer rookies. I'm not sure if they're here, but shout out to 15303 Space Rocks for always letting us practice with you guys. We were able to learn and improve so much from befriending other teams, and I think it really could be seen how much we grew since Rover Ruckus. Our rookie year was especially tough. Being the only team from Monterey Park, we wanted to inform the community about the wonders of robotics for the first time and represent our community proudly. Ever since our rookie year, our team was always stronger with programming than with build. This is why I think our team was able to do so well this year, being one of the few teams in our league who really nailed the Skystone side autonomous. Of course, with the help of other teams, our team's robot was able to become more mechanically complex as well. We made the biggest improvements to our drivetrain, which made a huge difference in our performance in-game. This year, we used the tool called a Trello board to organize our tasks and the responsible members, and with the help of teams like 8564 Lockdown and 14531 The Second Rebellion, created our best engineering notebook yet to keep all of our team members informed at all times. Not only was it our first time advancing to regionals, we did so as the winning alliance captains of our ILT. None of us ever expected that to happen. We're really proud of our accomplishments this year from outreach to competitions, and we're excited for the 2020-2021 season.
I'm Calvin, the treasurer and head of logistics. This year we focused heavily on outreach to help sustain our team, connect to the Monterey Park community. Our biggest step forward was tutoring students at Brightwood Elementary, attending the Brightwood Youth Fair, and many other events I can't mention right now. And honestly, we're making a lot of progress. Not only is it fun to help students learn about robotics, our members are learning a lot about teaching as well. And plus, we are able to get our name out to students, which encourages them to join us in the future. At the Brightwood Youth Fair, we've got students interested while fundraising by letting students play games with our robot to earn prizes. Plus, we increased our contacts with dozens of other teams this season. Even though teams are pitted against each other in matches, it's so important to work together and learn from each other. That's why we attended 5 scrimmages and talked to many other teams in our league through our surveys or just random chat. And personally, I'm just really excited to talk to other teams and learn a lot more about robot design and problem solving, which happens to be our next topic.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm the second driver and one of the builders of Aztec.exe. Being an incoming freshman, I get to learn about all the different elements and pieces that would come together to form the robot we have today. The experience and knowledge I have gained throughout the process will definitely stay with me throughout my whole life. Being able to converse with peers that are much more knowledgeable has broadened my perspectives. I found myself learning more than just about robotics and coding. I learned about teamwork and the upcoming opportunities that were available for me in the outside world, and as well as in school. And now Eric will tell you about the biggest improvements made on the robot.
Hi, I'm Eric Tran, the build lead of FTC Team 15091, also known as Aztec.exe. Compared to the team's first year competing, the robot improved mechanically in that mechanism wheels were used for the first time, the control hub was implemented instead of using a cell phone in the expansion hub, and 3D printing was used much more heavily. For example, the robot collected stones using a claw that was fully 3D printed. The claw dangled from the top of an arm so that the bottom of a grabbed stone would always face the ground. The arm used a pulley system to extend and retract and to move up and down. Using the claw and arm system, the robot was able to stack stones and reach into the building site during the endgame. Since the robot had to be able to move in all directions, mechanism wheels were a must. Initially, the mechanism wheels were attached directly to the motors, but during the scrimmage at Monrovia High School, another team introduced the concept of attaching the motors to a chain, which would then attach to the wheels, enabling smoother movement and protecting the motors. As for sensors, the robot held a webcam, which detected skystones during the autonomous period, and a color sensor, which allowed the robot to park in the color tape during the autonomous period.
Thank you, Aztec.exe, for that amazing presentation and teaching us the importance of working with the community and with other teams. As for our last presentation of the day, we have Team Wolf Corp.
Hello everyone, we're Wolf Corp Robotics Team 12525 from Walnut High School, based in Los Angeles. As from what Gloria said, we're a 4th year FTC team and 8th year first team. Our team goal was to be able to connect first with the STEM industry and bring people and communities to first. This year has been successful in that we've connected our team with the community and also earned Connect Award, which helped us advance to the World Festival. So throughout this presentation, we'll be discussing our robot, programming, notebook, outreach, expert, and fundraising.
We started the season by splitting into groups and brainstorming ideas, several of which included a turbine system that spins to create a suction effect, a spinning wheel intake to reel stones in, and a passive suction cup. After much debate, we settled with a simple claw that rotates 180 degrees for both the intake and scoring mechanism. It can turn to align itself with the stones and foundation and is attached to 2 sets of 4-level 12-inch drawer slides, capable of reaching up to 9 stones high. The most innovative part of our robot is its ability to recover fallen stones.
When programming the robot, we ensured that all autonomous programs maintain an accuracy of 90%. We implemented the phone camera running in TensorFlow to locate the Skystones and used gyro to avoid collisions. Moreover, our teleop programs include driver assist functions such as an irreversible spool, a snapping claw, LED warning lights, and a quadratic drivetrain.
Last season, we tried something new in regards to the engineering notebook. In addition to our usual binder of information, we created a separate handwritten notebook to document the entire life of our robot, from brainstorming, prototyping, and making small modifications until we reached the final product. We also divided the binder into sections, noting down sponsors, outreaches, and expert meetings to ensure that we share each and every adventure we've experienced throughout the season. We also participated in countless outreach events, including several science fairs, community activities, and robotics classes at local libraries. Our greatest achievement was connecting with 17 other robotics teams to host a robot expo at our school. We also partnered up with a nonprofit organization to host STEM activities once a month and gave back to our community by participating in community events and raising money for charities.
This past season, we've also connected with more than 8 experts to gain knowledge, feedback, and advice for our robot, programming, and team overall. We've met with a physics professor from Caltech, consulted with engineers from JPL and Boeing, tutored our makerspace, and talked with a software developer from a local company.
WolfCorp connects to and finds sponsors by contacting local businesses and asking for donations. Last season, we connected to more than 50 businesses and 20 of them became our team sponsors. This takes a lot of effort because the failure rate is always high when trying to find sponsors that support your team. To make up for all the businesses that turn us down, we hold fundraisers such as our events at Applebee's and Chipotle. It might be more difficult to use this strategy during this upcoming season, so we will focus more on emailing businesses to receive funds. An important detail to remember whenever contacting potential sponsors is to tell them about your team and how they can help. To recap our Skystone season, WolfCorp connected to more than 50 businesses, met with more than 8 STEM experts, and partnered up with a nonprofit organization to host STEM activities once a month. Our robot has a 180-degree rotating claw and can score 2 Skystones autonomously. At the Interleague, we were in the finalist alliance, won the design award, and earned the first runner-up Inspire award. At the Los Angeles Regional, we were the 3rd seed alliance captain, won Connect Award, and advanced to the World Festival in Houston, which was unfortunately canceled due to the pandemic. It is very difficult to try to maintain our robotics performance and other team aspects, but we are proud of what we have accomplished this season and can't wait for the ultimate goal season to start. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to ask us any questions. Coming up, we have one last break with one final discussion question. What are your guys' opinions on the balance of points between autonomous and teleop in-game? What I've noticed a trend in the point system is that during the early season of meets zeros and 0, 1, and 2s, generally it's the teams that have finished their autonomous that usually do well, but later on as the season progresses, teleop increasingly becomes more and more influential in terms of rankings.
I believe teleop should maybe have a little bit more of waiting for points because it does then depend on human skill, whereas the autonomous is more like programmed, and the autonomous could maybe be done by an adult in the team, which you cannot see and you can't prove, whereas teleop is in the moment, on the day, and everything is like done semi-live. And I feel like that it should have a little bit more of an impact because it actually shows the team's skill compared to what happens behind the scenes.
Personally, I would also like to see more of a teleop oriented game. I'd also like to see lots of small cycles, kind of like Rover Ruckus. The only main thing I didn't like about Skystone was there was only like 12 cycles, and you had to get all of them perfect. And there also wasn't much room for improvement. If there wasn't much room for improvement per cycle, I would really like to see lots of small cycles where the difference between the robots really shows.
Yeah, so like with all of the tournaments going online, I feel like teleop should be weighted a bit more because it's like reflective of the team's skill, because it's like, as Aaron said, it's reflective of like the human driver.
I think one thing that's going to change in terms of how the teleop works next year is you're probably going to see sort of an evening out of teleop between teams that have like similar engineering capabilities with how they build their robot, but may have different driver skill, because next year you're going to have a whole week to figure this out. So at least in a lot of places, you're going to have a whole week. So there is a chance that there will be teams that'll repeat rounds until they get things right. There'll certainly be teams that give themselves more practice rounds and are able to adapt to their own field a lot better. So that's going to be interesting on the teleop as well as on the autonomous, because you're going to see a lot of teams where they're going to have a better autonomous because their wheels, their odometry system is adapted to their foam and their floor. They won't have to account for unexpected static discharge or a printer that was left on that's screwing up your connection, and all sorts of different factors that you'd have to recalibrate like on the go, which is very difficult to do when the field's actively in use. So you're probably going to see teams scoring better in both categories, and I'm not entirely sure if both of those categories are going to end up being buoyed by online. I'm not exactly sure if the weighting should change.
Yeah, I think actually, like with the physically being in like a hall or something with a bunch of other teams, that really does make an FTC competition for me, because when you're in a hall and it's a live environment, something goes wrong, you can't just stop the video and restart. And I think it really adds to the atmosphere and like feel of the first experience, because for me it's like being with the other teams and seeing that they're having the same problems as you. And I feel like with online, this whole online platform, we're just going to have teams that are going to post the best of the best and their theoretical bests. And yeah, I don't really know how it's going to turn out, but I think it'll be interesting to see.
Also, doing the online removes the consistency. Like, the biggest thing that separates teams, I think, is how consistent they score. So an inconsistent team with a potentially very high-scoring auto and teleop could just restart over and over until they got that max auto and max teleop round, which I think takes a large part of the game out of.
You're going to see a lot less stable robots next year. It's going to be less valued.
All right. With that, now that we have finished all of the presentations and the third break, we will now be moving on to the Q&A section of this showcase.
Yeah, I had a question about how many of the other teams in the showcase are sponsored, because, yeah, I find that in South Africa, from my experience, there were only about like 3 or 4 teams that actually found sponsors, and that was out of around 20 to 30 teams. And I don't know if it's different in like different parts of the world, or if you guys also struggle to find sponsors.
Our team, Wolf Corp, we use a method called cold calling, where we literally just go around the area to local businesses, and we knock on their doors, explain to them what FIRST is, explain to them what the benefits are of donating to us, and depending on how they feel. That they might donate money, materials, or even offer us advice.
We do a similar approach to sponsors. We're a little decentralized with it as well. Like any local business you interact with is an idea for a potential sponsor. Like we've even had teams where, not teams, people on our team who go to the dentist and they'll go and ask the dentist if they can sponsor them. And we actually do, I believe, have a dentist sponsoring us. So it's any local business you interact with is a sponsorship opportunity.
So for Jolly Roger Robotics, what did you learn from setting up your outreach projects?
Well, the big thing we learned is how much it can overall improve our league or the tone of our league, because to be honest, before this year we were all the teams were in their own little bubble. We didn't do a whole lot together, and doing these projects really helped us work together and bring up those relationships, and it made it where teams were more willing to help in return. Like, oh, I don't have this part, oh, I need this 3D printed, but this team on the other part of the league offered it because we helped them and all that. And it helps us kind of create a line of being competitive but also being gracious. So I think that was the big benefit. And the big one that I always heard about the projects we did is how much fun the students had being a part of it. And that's always the big one that I always like, and which is why I hope we keep on doing it.
I actually had another question for the Crazy Cat Ladies for the V Movin' game. What challenges did you guys face while designing and creating the app? How did you overcome them, and what are you guys planning to make the game? When are you guys planning to make the game available on the App Store?
So some of the challenges that we faced were whenever we had an in-app link inside the Facebook or Instagram app, there were some technical problems with accessing the camera. So now what we've done to fix that is that we detect when a user has entered the site from an app, and we instruct them how to fix the problem and how to get to a browser page. We also had an issue with using music that we could have the proper licensing for. It was challenging to find good, affordable music that we could use for our game. So we found some music creators who had a library of royalty-free music, and that enabled us to find upbeat music that met our needs from the app. We're pleased with the accessibility of the game as a website, but in the future, we could make it available in the App Store. We just found that most of the users want to do the easiest thing, so we didn't know if our users would want to download it from the App Store.
Gong Invaders asked, what is the ILT competition?
Oh.
So ILT stands for Interleague, and it's the competition before regionals. So if you advance from ILT, that's when you move to regionals, and after regionals is Worlds.
Is like two leagues. The teams from two leagues combine together and they compete. And it's sort of like, it also helps to boost your ranking. That's when your ranking points from your meet 0, 1, 2, and 3 come into play. And because that's how it ranks your team. At least that's how they used to rank their teams. I think they might have changed it this year.
Yeah, ranking is now based off of autonomous, and they don't, well, okay, basically wins don't matter anymore, so they only care about your points. So yeah, and that kind of plays in with how defense doesn't really matter because you're going virtual, so defense isn't really a thing anymore. So that kind of also meshes with how you look for points, not for who won a match or who lost a match.
For those that don't see it in chat, someone asked, "What's Meet Zero?" Meet Zero generally is a practice meet for some areas that basically reproduces an entire meet, but doesn't count any of the points.
Hey Gong Invaders, I have a question for you guys. So after you guys rewrote your code, your teleop code, did you guys end up finding like what the specific bug was that caused your program to not run?
Oh yeah, so basically when in our loops, we had to add like while op mode is active to all of them, and without it, the robot was constantly like in a loop at the very end of autonomous, so it could never like actually leave, and it was just still basically running the auto code which had nothing in it, and then teleop never started. And we're since we're like a second year team, we weren't exactly familiar to like the programming. Like we'd done FLL and then starting FTC. We hadn't got that much knowledge about it, but I guess now we know. So yeah.
All right, I guess as a general question for everyone, what was the most memorable experience you've had this season? If anyone would like to share.
I think my most memorable experience will probably be actually like staying up really late and early into the next morning fixing the robot before the competition, because I think it's in that time that you really like find out the most about your teammates, because everyone is tired and everyone is like not really knowing what's going on, so that way we find out more about each other and really have a unique connection.
Yeah, I just had a question for any teams that have like hosted events with multiple other teams. What's the most challenging part of hosting an event with that many people involved?
Well,
Well, when we were organizing this event, I think one of the biggest challenges was obviously the time zone differences, but for more in-person events, I guess contacting teams, getting them to join, advertising the event to the public if they are interested in coming. I want to hear other teams' recruitment process and how they find their members. If anyone would like to share.
Well, the organization that we're part of, well, this is, I'm Lassia from robocorns. The organization that we're a part of has a waiting list for all four first programs. So our personal team, we go through that waiting list and we see if any of the people on that list go to any of our schools and if we know that person. And based on that, we sort of kind of have an interview and, we ask them a couple of questions, see how they are with the team, because it has to be like a person who communicates and, has somewhat some experience with robotics. And then if we do recruit them, then, it's great. We actually recruited 2 new members last season, so Harsha and Nushka, I'm not sure if they're still on the Zoom, but they're excellent team members and they love being on our team.
As a community team without broad institutional support, what we mainly do for getting members is we just have all of our team members go and advertise the team to their friends, talk about it, and reach out and see who would be interested in joining. Just kind of bug them a lot. There's a lot of people in the community who are very interested in joining a robotics team, so it never hurts to ask.
There was another question in chat where I believe someone asked, how are teams going to hold practices this season? One thing I do want to mention is that because of the virtual nature of this season, it's obviously going to be a lot harder to practice and to get people together in the same place and work together. So communication is probably going to be a lot more key this year than ever before. People are going to need to keep each other updated on their progress between what they do on their own.
Do any of the other teams have any factors that affect the whole competition normally? So not now during the COVID time. For example, in South Africa, we have a thing called load shedding, where the government turns off the electricity for 2 hours every couple days. So then, I don't know if you guys have something similar, but then you need to schedule around that type of thing. Or do you guys not have that?
At least for my team, well, we don't have that. Well, I've heard of it in
with my family that lives in Vietnam. I missed them too.
Yeah, I have not really heard of that actually, but it seems fairly rough for you guys.
I think sometimes we also have things similar to that. Like I think there's one called getting hungry. So every couple hours, some of our teammates get hungry, and then we have to go eat. But yeah, it's usually a small problem. We just sometimes, if they're busy, they don't get to eat. That's okay.
That's rough.
Only
We in Africa just used to not eating, so we don't have that problem.
The only big scheduling issue, I think, in LA, endemic to LA, is just the traffic. Gotta plan for the commute.
Wait, ASAP, I actually had a question about your polyurethane wheels. Like, how is it like working with those and molding them and things like that? Were there any things like really, or because our team has never tried with this kind of thing, so we're kind of interested about them.
Okay, so we basically partnered with a local maker station in our area, and we basically asked them to laser cut some acrylic housing for us. So they made like an acrylic box, and then we 3D printed in PLA, we 3D printed a solid version of the wheel we wanted. And then from that, we then put it into that acrylic housing, and then we poured the blue mold, as you saw, which is you just like buy it. I don't know what the name is in America, but you just buy it, and then that's like your mold. And then when you want to cast into it, you wait for it to dry, and then you put in the casting material. And you can choose different types of casting materials. Yeah, like surgical silicone for the outside. And basically, you can use many different materials. There's polyurethane, 30%, 20%. I think we used 60% so that it was still firm, but it would still be able to move. But the main problem we encountered with the polyurethane wheels was the drying time, because it's actually quite important to get it right. So I think ours was 16 hours, and then we ended up having a team member stay up to take them out because we needed them molded often, and if you leave it in too long, then it's very difficult to take it out the mold. So timing is very important, but otherwise it's not that hard, and it stinks. That's the other thing. It smells really bad.
Calvin in chats asks, what are the challenges with starting your own STEM programs around your community? So Wolfcorp has had for many years done library presentations and workshops with our local library, Walnut Library. We've done this for many years, dating back all the way to our FLL years. I think one of the challenges that we've had was being able to schedule these workshops, and teaching the kids is a slightly different story. We need to find ways to keep them engaged.
You also, for library programs with STEM, you need to kind of have a good, well thought out plan for how you're going to shepherd the kids through each point in the process, because they do tend to get easily distracted, and especially if it's an FLL workshop and they're surrounded by Legos, it's important to keep them focused.
Yeah, so we do have a decent amount of experience with spreading STEM to our local community, in our case being the state of Kansas. And one project that I mentioned in the presentation was that we started a nonprofit that funds and supports new programs in the state of Kansas. And one of the big struggles with that is that, in our case, that we wanted to start a legal 501c3 nonprofit. A lot of that has to be done with a lot of legal processes, and in many cases, you have to have adults involved. So it's hard for the students to get quite as involved in that. But obviously, for if your intention is just to spread FIRST and STEM in your community, I mean, it's pretty simple to just reach out to people that you know that might be interested, find a teacher or a sponsor or someone who would be willing to undertake or start a FIRST team, and just find the right people. You don't have to go through a whole legal process or anything. It shouldn't be too difficult, but in our case, that's one of those challenges. It's just we wanted to spread to a pretty big demographic in our state of Kansas, so we had to go to do a little bit more legal work that was a little bit difficult. But so that was the biggest challenge we faced. But our advice is just find the right people, seek as many opportunities as you can to reach out to people, and once you get experience with presenting and you get comfortable to spreading FIRST and STEM to many people, it becomes a lot easier. So just keep with it, keep motivated, and keep just work hard, and you'll find ways to spread FIRST and STEM to your community.
So to La Cañada, how have you managed to sustain the FLL program at your school for a long time?
Yeah, so for our FLL teams, it's easier for us because we're a well-established team at this point. So basically La Cañada is a really small city. So if you're interested in STEM, I think it's really hard not to kind of being established as a team in tournaments. We've been able to maintain a pretty good relationship with FL or LAFLL. So we've been keeping up the quality of our tournaments and not having too many problems with that. So that's why we've been able to continue hosting the LA regionals every year.
I was just gonna ask a general question of how do you guys have fun and stay sane in the chaos of robotics season?
We don't.
Well, sanity is a strong word.
And it's probably something our team lacks.
I think the most important part about it is just trying to have fun with your team. Really, it might sound a little cliche, but I think interacting with your teammates and having fun with them is probably the best way to stay motivated.
Just trust the process and let it carry on, I guess. Let it take you to new places.
I guess with your team, you could do online games, because that's something that we've done.
I think it's important to do things that are also maybe not always tech related with the teams, especially before this whole coronavirus situation. We used to just have days where we would just order pizza and then just chill and do stuff like that. And I think just having a bond in your team instead of just a bunch of random people competing for something. I think actually being friends with the people you're in a team with really helps when you're doing presentations.
How's your guys' relationship with the team and the coach? Because I mean, we never really had a coach, so how does that work with that kind of dynamic?
Our coach is just our dad, so we already get along, and then so he's my dad and another team member, and then the rest of them are my school friends. So then we just kind of hang out a lot. So then they get to know each other by that, and then we just again, it's just we're all, I guess, friends, and then we're also friends with the coach.
For me personally, how I really got to know our head coach, Mr. Zimmerman, was through Science Olympiad and taking his class, or classes, I should say. And yeah, that really got me closer to him. And I also just being on the team for longer amounts of time. This is gonna be my 5th year with La Cañada, so me and Zim know each other pretty well at this point, and there's a lot of trust there.
That's the end of our showcase, I guess. We'd like to thank everybody who came today. Thank you to Gong Invaders, ASAP, Crazy Cat Ladies, robocorns, Capital Bots, Jolly Roger Robotics, Cobalt Cults, Cosmic Voltage, Hermit Social Club, La Cañada Engineering, Rock and Roll Robotics, Aztec.exe, and Wolf Corp for doing such a great job sharing your experiences with everyone here. Thank you to the audience members for being such a great audience. Thank you to First for bringing us together despite the present circumstances. As a community, learning, interacting, and checking in with each other will hopefully bring this hectic Skystone season to a lovely end and kickstart a bright and opportunity-filled ultimate goal season. You can contact us at wolfcorprobotics12525@gmail.com, and as always, stay safe and keep on learning. We wish you all the best.